Yay, let's go. All right, what is up, beautiful people? We got some common faces here, and we've got some not so common faces here. We got Boaz. Yes. What up? 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 All right. Welcome everyone to Impact Mondays, where your friendly co-host is going to be running a quick session through the beauties of email deliverability and adbound in a concept of technical deliverability for all of you. How are we feeling today? Great. You can drop it in the comments. You all know how I work. Well, some of you know how I work in perspective to running these in the past. So if you got, I hope you have access to the comment section. If you do, drop it in the comment sections. Write as to where you're from, which part of the world are you from, and what the temperature is, because I'm trying to make you feel jealous. I'm in Sydney, and it is a beautiful 32 degrees. Beautiful 32 degrees Celsius. Just to keep you all even more jealous. Aha. We got Serbia, 5 degrees. Snowy Poland. Ahmed from Egypt. Cairo? No, Cairo. I grew up in East Africa. I spent a few years in East Africa. So, um, OG land. Love it. Sweet. All right, everyone. So, well, I'll be super impactful with your time and respectful for your time as well. It's a Monday of the third week of December, right before Christmas. So I know all of us have somewhat better things to do, but maybe we don't. And with said, this demo is going to be focused on one thing alone, which is around email delivery in the concept of smart delivery. I'll be doing a very, very quick demo about how the product works, as well as how the entire experience operates left, right, and center. Now, while this is not the big wazoo, hyped up office hours we usually have, this will be the last demo session for this calendar year. That means we'll be another year wiser, another year stronger, another year smarter in 2025 with some beautiful features coming up for all of you on the concept of deliverability. But so hopefully get ready to listen to my pretty voice. I will modulate it up and down so that you're excited and I command your attention, as they say in these events. But anyway, cool. With that being said, let's kick off. Any questions, doubts, issues? Bottom right corner, chat support has the chat button. Drop it in there and I'll have that answer for you. Before we kick in, I just want to quickly call out one very, very awesome feature we're releasing for all of you. Apart from smart delivery, which is already existent, is something called smart servers. Smart servers will be available to majority of you ideally by day after tomorrow or tomorrow itself, basis on how we feel with the testing structure. And that is very, very simple. Smart servers will now give you isolated tenant access to your own servers that you can use to go ahead and ensure that you've got complete control over your deliverability. That means whenever emails are being sent, even though we share them from, like, right now we sent them from premium warmed up IPs that we own and we circulate and we rotate. Some people want their own, completely fair and respectful. We'll give you your own server completely isolated to your account. You can even buy a cluster of servers so you can have your own rotative server pool in a situation a server of yours get blacklisted for whatever reason, so you can always have something to oscillate through. Not only that, when you do warm-up emails and you do warm-up messages, your warm-up emails are actually going to be warming up your servers as well. So you've actually got a very, very good chance of smashing your leads primary folder consistently, proactively, and thoroughly so that you always close more and more deals. So with that being said, let's kick straight into Smart Delivery's quick demo. And like I said, please drop in any questions you've got at the bottom right corner, and I will have them answered for you as soon as I can. Now the chat bubble will disappear a bit, so I may be, let me just get that up for you. Second. All right, can everyone see my screen? If you can just drop it in the chat saying yes, you can, or just because Ahmed said he's from Egypt, and we're just type in falafel if you can see it, because I want falafels right now. All right, yeses. All right, I'm gonna kick off then. Cool, fine. Don't say falafel. It's okay. Sweet. So the concept of smart delivery is very simple. You can go ahead and create placement tests. And in fact, we've taken your feedback really well. You can actually do unlimited placement tests for an incredibly kicker deal for some of the like rather premium features that you will not get anywhere else in the world or in the market right now. So smart delivery tests actually come in two formats. Test number one is manual and test number two is automatic. It's actually the exact same thing. The only difference is an automatic test is a blend of manual tests where Usually what we recommend is for you to do automatic tests every single day because you run your campaigns every single day. And the goal of Smart Delivery is so that you can go ahead and replace your open tracking and actually get the truer form of tracking perceptive to your actual mailboxes and leads. We have done a ton of nuancing and priming of the seed list. So we have Gmail and Outlook accounts as well as private accounts from all across the world based upon which set of users that you're trying to sell to. And we don't only just have these as plain accounts, but we also have interactive behaviors in the mailboxes itself to because what we know is Gmail and Outlook actually if I have a Gmail account and you have a Gmail account, and let's just say I'm into football and you're not, if I get an email around football, mine will actually land in the primary, yours will land in spam. It's actually personalized as well. So we've actually adjusted it to go ahead and take care of all sorts of flavors of leads and people and personas that exist. So that spam filter that you have there is very dynamic. Now, with that being said, let's just kick off very quickly. I'll click on Start Spam Test. I'll do an automatic test for now. I'm going to call this Impact Mondays number 4. Sweet. So we have something called spam filters where we have Spam Assassin right now. We're working on a few other ones, which is to be the Google Outlook filter as well as Google and Outlook spam filters, as well as Barracuda and Proofpoint. Now, what Google and Outlook spam filters means is we'll actually do an aggregate of your account's reaction to Google mailboxes and Outlook mailboxes. So how their spam filters operate, we'll do a similar aggregation over here as well. And what Barracuda and Proofpoint are, these are basically industrialized spam filters, or what the market refers to as secure email gateways. Basically, if you're working with a Facebook or like an Apple or Nvidia, just because you have the Gmail spam filter, that's not enough because these companies have very strict policies. All sorts of people will be messaging them. So they use a wrapper on top of their primary setup, which is through like private providers like Barracuda and Proofpoint. And what these things do are they're little nasty little creatures because whenever you are now, let's just say you send a mail to email infrastructure that is governed by Barracuda and Barracuda goes ahead and blacklists you. And then what ends up occurring is any other enterprise or set of users that are using Barracuda on top, it's going to become a lot harder for you to push through them. And sometimes you may just assume that your emails are landing in spam consistently. You don't get why. There's no blacklist, your copies, everything's great. And that's simply because of the fact that you've actually got ahead and set up the fact that there is a Barracuda infrastructure that has blacklisted you. That's pretty much what you need to focus on. Now, Spam Assassin is an open source Apache framework that has been built up and maintained across the world by a bunch of open source developers and engineers and providers. In short, Spam Assassin works well to an extent because what Spam Assassin does is it uses a set of a couple of hundred, about 1,000 to 2,000 rules and more being added and removed each time. And what those rules do is they have a score mechanism set up. And then basis on that score, you actually get a negative or positive score. If your score is close to 5, that means there's a higher chance that you land in the spam folder of Gmail. Now, I want to be very clear. It is not a direct indicator that you will land in the spam folder. It is a likely indicator that as you come close to the score of 5, it will go ahead and run to the blacklist structure. Now, we'll just have a quick question over here, and I'll interactively answer the questions that are pushed through over here. When running the Smart Delivery tool and look at the blacklist, it shows IP addresses that are blocked. I was using Gmail recently. It's always majority same IP address. What does that tell you? Great question, JP. Now, what happens is when you send emails through Gmail's infrastructure, you actually you send emails through a pool of IPs that they have, and they've got a very complex structure set up where you go through a bounce of emails or relays from point A to point Z, which is your lead. And there's a bunch of work that happens in between. Now, Gmail has a set of IP addresses that you tend to use, and those are the IP addresses that you probably end up seeing as blacklisted. And that's why if you're part of the Smartlead Slack community, I tend to point out saying that if you're using Gmail and Outlook and you've not got some weird, dodgy infrastructure set up from like a vendor or a reseller, you're actually good to go because Gmail and Outlook IPs being blacklisted are consumer-based IPs, and they're consistently rotated and taken care of, and it's really not something for you to tentatively focus on. Barracuda can block your IP, your domain, and your copy. It can cook you in all ways that it wants to. So that's something for you to focus on. Now, sending throttling. So this is very, very similar to the throttling structure that you have when you create an actual campaign. I'll just open up a demo account over here that we have. So if I go to a demo account and I just click on edit and I go to the settings here, I go to setup here, and you click on schedule campaign, You see this thing over here that says send every 10 minutes? That's the exact same reflection over here as to send an email every 10 minutes. That's the dot to dot that thing will do. Now, another fun one that we actually check is a link checker. So if you have copy that has a certain link that is propagatively problematic, remember you're dealing with Gmail and Outlook. They're some of the best parsing NLP engines in the world. So if they have a sense that your email has been flagged in the past, and sorry, that link has been flagged in the past, there's a chance that your email will also be flagged over here as well. So that's why you want to be careful when using like cal.com and other popular links. Now, usually cal.com and Calendly are fine, but however, they also offer you the option to white label it, and you should definitely give that a shot as and when you can too. So you're taken care of on that note. Sweet, save and next. So if you're Microsoft Gmail rotating IP addresses and consistently having 2030 open percent rates, regardless of where you copy or subject line, it's not delivery issue. JP, if you're getting 30% open rates, firstly, probably don't track open rates because that's the whole point of smart delivery. Like we said, it's a very non-valuable metric of measurement at all in this day and age. Just candidly, it does not work, right? You don't need to use smart delivery. I know you're in a demo for that. Don't use it. It's fine, but you really should not be doing open rate tracking. It's a metric that has been depreciating in value every single day. And even more so since the add of all these LLM models that have come through with all these open source networks, whether it's Gmail's own Gemini LLM model or Outlook's own smart filter, whatever it is, open rates simply are a dead metric. And I'm calling that out quite proactively right now. So you should not focus on that as a key measurement of success. But if you just focus on your replies, focus on your positive replies, and run placement tests. Like I said, you don't need to use smart delivery. It's fine. You can use any other placement tool in the world, but open rates should not be a measurement as its core for indicating whether you're actually doing good or not on deliverability. Sweet. Now, what you want to go over do is you want to select your campaign. It could be any campaign that we have over here, and you want to select a sequence. So the cool part is with smart delivery, we actually use the variables in your actual email copy to do the test. And that's the best part, because I'll tell you why it becomes the best part in a quick second. You can select the tester mailboxes over here. You can do whatever they are, all three of them if you want. These are the ones that are part of that campaign. And the fun one is you can select all the providers that you've got, which is Outlook, Gmail, or US Personal, Outlook Personal, right? It should be sorted out on that side. Now, once you come over here, you can go ahead and click on this one cute little button, which does a lot of fun, powerful things. And in the shortest format, what it does, it actually warms up your copy. Look, the TLDR version of this is we are sending emails from your mailboxes to a list of a couple of thousand mailboxes that we purchased and own. Now, you've already sent the email. What we're doing over here is we're simply replying back to that email and replying back with a positive intended message. But not only that, if that email lands in the spam folder of our list of mailboxes, we move it to the primary folder, indicating a positive intent, very similar to what we do in the warm-up infrastructure, and then we reply back to it as well. So that's pretty much how you go. Okay, I can try speak slow, Richard. I'll try my best. There's a lot to cover, and it's already 2:15, but I will do anything that you want me to repeat. Maybe I can repeat that. This is for you, Richard. While Richard, I'm answering that question. I will simply go ahead and respond back to Ahmed's question as well. There's a fair few things. The recording will be sent in the Slack channel. Okay, we'll just go through this whole thing, and I'll maybe slow down a bit. I'll repeat the warm-up copy again one more time. You are already sending emails to a seed list that we have access to, and we are your mailbox is interacting with our seed list, and they're rotating. There's several thousand of those Gmail and Outlook accounts that we have across different parts of the world. What we're doing is we're replying back to those emails. Now, since we actually use your actual warm-up copy, actual campaign copy with the variables of your leads data, you can think of it as like a pre-test, right? It's like when you dunk your knife in when you're making a cake, put it in there and remove it just to make sure that it's all good to go. That's kind of what we're doing with the actual cake batter inside of it, and not just assuming that it's fine from the outside. So we are pre-warming up your copy as well because of one reason alone. And we've seen that. You've seen that as well. If any of you over here, when we used to have the flaggable issue, which is an underlying problem, we've sorted out and we're doing a bifurcation around of it. And the way it works by nature note is Outlook has amped the crap out of its content filter, right? And if your own mailboxes, if you're using Outlook accounts and you're sending spammy content or your content has been marked as spam, Outlook itself, your own mailboxes will bounce internally and not send emails from your own tenant and reply back to you saying that this copy has been marked as spam in the past and so on and so forth. So we know copy has a major impact. It has so for Gmail for almost a year, but Outlook has caught up ever since June of this year as well. So the intent over here is by using the variable copy and signaling positive intent to these ESP providers that this is intentionally good content and good copy for you to send out. So when you actually send it out to your leads, it's like got little rocket boosters, good to go. So save and next, and then what you want to do is select the date frequency, whatever that is. I'm just gonna pick an end date. Usually this goes on for a month or two. Save frequency and run test. That's about it. The test will kick off and you should be good to go at that point and end. Now, with that being said, let's just look at a particular, let's just take this one over here. Now, what will your data look like once it shows up? So what this data is basically covering is how your mailboxes, your deliverability has performed over a 3-day cycle. And interestingly enough, as you can see, the placement rates have actually improved over the time, over the next few days that we've gone through. And the reason why this can happen is for a variety of situations. This can simply happen because the person, like we've made changes in the copy and content over the 10th and 11th of December. We've changed the ESP provider that we've used. We've changed the lead structure that you've moved out Outlook and moved to just Gmail. There's a variety of things that can happen. And the goal of this test in this graph is to emulate and reflect how your actual campaign would be performing if you were to not have open rates turned on or off. Now, there's 3 things for you to look at. There's the inbox folder, the tab, and spam folder. If you're sending to private emails, then that's when the tab folder actually shows up because it's for the personal emails. But if you're sending only to professional emails, the tab folder tentatively does not exist. So you may not see that show up and you'll just have inbox and spam. We've dynamically adjusted for that for you. So now we'll kick into this and I'll sort of sprint through this a bit so you have a sense of understanding. We've covered a lot of this already through tutorials as well as these little help guides over here. They cover through all of that with interactive videos with my pretty voice as well there too. So what you see over here is a spam score of 73%. That's actually not bad. It's okay. It can be better at 80%. We've seen that your inbox is placing at 65.53. Again, 80% is what we want to aim for. And if you actually go ahead and you know how I could get eBay seller email leads. Okay, probably not from this video, but I'll just walk through this very quickly. So you know how I said at the start of the video that Spam Assassin actually gives a negative score when you're doing well at golf. So a 0.1 score is all right. It can be better, but it's definitely less than 5, which means there's a good chance that you will potentially land in your leads Gmail primary folders. For sure. And you can go through each of these line items for Spam Assassin. It actually has a breakdown with the action steps of what you need to go ahead and do. And we've also got AI coming over here to give you that advice in terms of what you can do on a day-by-day basis. Now, we've got this thing called ESP IP reputation. This is the IP of the actual ESP that is used to send the IP that is used to send the email. And whenever you see 1e100.net, those actually are all Gmails. So when you reverse DNS this IP address, this will point to this particular URL, and that's pretty much just saying this belongs to Gmail. If you actually just put in ie100.net on the internet, it'll actually explain and tell you the same thing as well. What is this? So I'm just typing this in just to find that for you. Cool. The name IE is a valid Google domain, identifies for servers. So just to explain to you what ie100.net does. Sweet. You can see that it is listed in blacklist, and as if it's gray in color, you should not really care about it. If it's red, though, that's something that you want to tentatively put some energy into. That's an OSPAM, that's a mirroring thing, and it tells you why it was blacklisted. Now, you can see these things called 127.0.0.1. They actually look like localhost ports. They're actually not ports. What these things are is just how blacklists work. The little signalings are actually different errors and different what we call it, different reasons for why you've been blacklisted. I found it confusing as well when we got in the space a few years ago. I didn't understand why I was pointing it to localhost, but it's not actually localhost. This is actually an error code, and ChatGPT is a really good friend to help you out on that piece of the puzzle. Sweet. Now let's go ahead and quickly understand the other piece of the application, which is if I just close this piece over here, go back, and that load in a quick second. You've got your RDNS report. Your RDNS report is perfectly clean. You've got your domain blacklist that's clean too. If you click your DKIM, SPF, and DMARC, What ends up happening with DMARC and SPF, the interesting thing is sometimes it will succeed and sometimes you'll see some of them doing well and some of them not doing well. And that's simply because of how each of these ESPs and leads actually understand SPF, DKIM, and DMARC. I'll explain this very quickly for all of you so you have a sense of understanding of these cryptic terms, which can be very confusing and still confuse me to the days at times when I have to revise myself on this. In short, SPF is Standard Policy Framework. I may get the full form wrong here and there. All that's doing is basically a rule set that we've set up to confirm that when let's say I'm receiving the email and you're sending me that mail, my ESP is going to go ahead and check your domain because you sent me an email, and it's going to go to your domain and confirm whether this email I received, is it actually authenticated to be received from this domain? Can I actually receive this email from this particular domain? Can it come from this IP? And can this come from this user? That's what SPF is doing. What DKIM is doing is basically a hash code. And what that hash code is like a cryptic version of a cryptographic version of your content. And like I said, emails go from somewhere to point Z, and it goes through relays. It bounces through a bunch of servers along the way. And if at any point in time, if your email content was adjusted, your headers were adjusted, things were changed, then what ends up happening is the DKIM key that was originated over here will be different to the DKIM key over here. That is at the lead's case. So the lead will receive something very different to what was actually originated from. And that's how the receiving ESP will identify that this content was actually manipulated. And because it was manipulated, it potentially is not authentic, right? It's a spoof email or something. Sometimes you can get an email from Vaibhav@smartlead.ai, and it will be marked as spam or it's spoof. Now, how do you get to control the behavior of your email? Because you can't know if someone's sending an email on your behalf, right? You can't, because the world is vast and big. But what you can do is control how the person receiving your email actually has it behaved, whether it lands in that person's primary, secondary, or tertiary folder. And that's where the DMARC record comes in. DMARC record is nothing but effectively a rule engine. You're basically preemptively telling, let's just say you're sending an email to me, and you've set up your DMARC record and you've set it to be quarantined, for example, P equals quarantine, priority. What you're saying is, hey, I've set the highest form of security. So when I receive your email and I see it's quarantined, if your DKIM or SPF fail, even in the slightest format, I'm basically saying, yep, I'm moving this email straight to spam, because the person who told me that is meant to receive this email, they've told me in their DMARC settings that SPF and DKIM have to be very, very strong, and you're good to go. It's not only that, we also have other authenticator policies that have come into place, like relay consistency policies, which is basically checking to see whether the relay network that was sent, that email was sent through, is actually consistent to what is in the header. So it's a whole bunch of stuff that is basically set in place. And that is basically used to verify whether your email is authentic or not, whether your email has come from the right place or not, and how your email should behave, whether it should go into the spam folder, the primary, or the tertiary folder as well. So these are what these three things actually represent over here. And sometimes your DKIM can pass for some mailboxes and fail for others, simply because maybe my mailbox on Gmail is set up to be a certain sense of sensitive, but maybe someone else's mailbox is not sent to carry on look for certain cryptographic senses that my Gmail account looks for in the sense perspective. So it will not fail for me, but it will not fail for you, but it'll fail for me. Cool. Now we'll come into the last piece of the puzzle over here, which is just to explain to you how this is the fun part. I think this is the one that got everyone excited a few weeks ago in terms of deliverability, and that's what caused a whole bunch of ripples across the market. Now, I tend to not focus on geographic view because we usually know where you're sending emails to, but if you're sending across the globe, then geo view is very important. You can see over here that your emails are actually landing quite well for this particular test on Office 365, which is a massive issue beforehand. And they're actually doing pretty all right for G Suite. It should have been a lot more, but that's just a list of these mailboxes that we've got over here. However, as the fun one goes, as we've said, Outlook lands 100% spam. This is the private Outlook accounts. We're seeing them all hitting the spam folder automatically. And that's fine, because unless you're sending it to someone's personal email address, this should not be an issue for you. If you're sending it to Outlook 365 and you're sending it to G Suite, you're in a good spot and you're doing quite well for yourself. Cool. So that is that. And you've also got GeoView, which does the same thing, but it just breaks it down geographically as to how your mailboxes are performing on Gmail and G Suite, or Office or G Suite, for example, or how they're doing on, in this case, I just selected Outlook for the US. If it was Europe, it'll be different as well. So yeah, that is basically SmartDelivery as its core. It's a super easy to use product, and the goal is very straightforward for you to have complete transparency and access to your mailboxes and the performance. One nifty little feature that we did add for you that you may or may not have seen, which is the mailbox insight. So now we actually give you the performance on a per mailbox level. So it shows you across all the tests that your Gmail account or your Outlook account has been used for. How has it actually performed? How has it actually done? Has it landed in the primary, secondary, or tertiary? Now, look, we've added this because a lot of people wanted it, but candidly, the way I tend to view this is a lot of deliverability is simply just not on a single mailbox. It depends upon the server used, the domains used, but more importantly, also to go ahead and do with the copy that was actually used over here. Is the situation bad? Like, sorry, Rich, I think I just covered it in my screen. It's actually looking pretty good for Office 365, so it's not as bad as it used to be. I see that a test one forever, ChatGPT. Ahmed, I just walked through the whole concept saying it is not a local host, so I would encourage you to just go ahead and rewatch this video where I covered that piece. The 127001 is actually the error code for that blacklist, and it'll basically explain what that error code is. So each blacklist, if let's just say you have what's it called? I'm forgetting the names, but let's say SRIURBL 127001 is a very different code for them, perceptive to, let's say you got spam meeting monkey, where 127001 means very different for them. So it's actually very subjective to each of them. I'll actually show you very quickly. If I go to the help center, oh man, what am I doing? Hold on. And search for help, and I'll just call it blacklist. Give it a second. So my internet's running a bit slow. Next. Here you go. So it's actually covered in depth over here. And you can see it right over here where I say, did you get a 127 in this? And you're not sure what it means. It's different for every single one of them. So every single one of these ones will have different meanings for it. So spam house, for example, 12002, it means it's listed on the general spam score. This means your policy blocker. This means it's a compromised machine. If you go over here with spam cop 002 means listed general source. Over here, general source for sorbs, it means dynamic IP ranges. For URI RBL, it means blacklisted spam phishing. So every single one of these blacklists, it means very, very different things with respect to the score. So all of that is actually covered through in this Help Center article, which you can go ahead and review as and when you'd like. Sweet. Now, with that being said, that sort of calls for the end of this demo. And again, very quick call out. We've got smart servers popping out for all of you, dedicated server infrastructure, first in the world at the scale that is at. Warmed up IPs as well. So you're getting win-win. Sorry, let me be very clear, not warmed up IPs. It's actually dedicated servers. It's warmed up, dedicated servers that no one has access to. It's yours and you're good to go. And yeah, just for you to love and enjoy and build a reputation on top of and just consistently just lap it up more and more and more. So as you grow and your mailbox reputation and your campaign reputation improves, your servers and your IPs actually become even more and more and more defensible because by nature note, that's it compounds in value. It is a catch-22 because if your IP does get blacklisted, then you end up losing a lot in one shot, all that reputation you built up. Hence why the tentative recommendation is to set up a cluster of IPs like 2 or 3, so that if one cracks, you've still got 2 others running for you. That's kind of how Smartlead internally works as well. We're just exposing the same sort of structure back to you all, but with dedicated, completely clean IPs for you to work with. And hopefully that answers that question over the 1271 for you. Bruno, I think Swapnil will actually answer that, but you can actually run your test in parallel. But we recommend running a test beforehand just to make sure everything's good to go, but you can run it parallel as well. I do believe that you asked a few questions. I can try answer some of them very quickly. So very quickly, how does one email copy impact my deliverability test? What I mean is when I want my copy, it's just a few hundred replies a week from tests. Is that really the difference when it makes to send thousands of emails? Well, I mean, you're sending out your copy once and you're getting reply back. That itself is a lot more than what you've actually done beforehand. It's not one or the other. If you send the same copy 10 times and get replies back 10 times, that's technically spam, right? So you just want to send it out once or twice at most with the variable content inside of it. Do we need to be testing? Yeah, you need to be testing daily. You can test it weekly. It's just that you want look the job to be done of the smart delivery principles as the feature offer is to replace open tracking. So if you want to test your open tracking every week and that's how you've done it, then you can do that every week as well. But if you want to test it every day, then if you want to do that every day. Is there a way to add custom copy to warm-up emails? So flagged, I have winning copies, but getting flagged quickly with syntax. I've answered that already with warm-up copy that we got in Smart Delivery. If I don't use links, should I disable the link checker? Yeah, it doesn't make a difference, but you can definitely turn it off for sure. That's a good thing for you to do. All right, everyone. It's can the testing everyday impact delivery due to increase? Nicholas, very good question. And yes, it certainly can. And hence why you want to make sure you manage the volume through when you're sending this across. However, I want to be very clear though. What ends up happening is these tests are actually done when we pause your live campaign. So we don't, we ensure that you're not doing parallel triggers. And do note that when you're sending emails, provided you're not sending like a massive seed list, what ends up occurring is you actually are sending about 3 to 4 extra emails to a list of mailboxes, right? If you select Gmail, Outlook, Microsoft 365, and a bunch of others, then obviously you're sending to a lot more seedless providers. But if you select one or two of the ones you're basically sending emails to, you're actually good to go. And for those who've actually seen it, we've actually added a nifty little feature over here for you. If you click on campaign settings and you scroll down, it hasn't loaded up yet, but we actually go ahead and tell you, there you go. You actually get a list of distribution of your leads ESPs. So we actually capture that when you upload your list. We've had that for years. You can go over here, you go to your lead list, you can actually see Outlook, Gmail, whatever it is, you can see all of that. So we actually go ahead and provide that for you. So if you have that information, you can actually correlate that straight back to your smart delivery as well. And maybe just do the test for Gmail or Outlook subjected to, the lead distribution you have for that campaign. But Nicholas, yes, great question. If you're over testing, there definitely can be an impact on deliverability over long cycle. However, I want to be very clear on this piece. There's a reason why we recommend 30 to 40 emails per day per mailbox. It's not because there's a limit. We all know Gmail and Outlook can actually send out 2,000 to 3,000 emails a day on the paid account. It's simply from the perspective that if you limit the number of emails that you send out every day, because by nature note, outbound has a low volume of replies. Emails, electronic mails are intended to get responses. So if you're sending 50 emails a day and you're getting one reply, sure, that's not bad. That's 2%. But by nature, if you're actually using that same email for office copy or office conversations, you're going to get a reply, maybe 5 or 6 for every single email that you send out. So it could be an inverse ratio. So the reason why we encourage you to do the warm-up copy is so that the reply will actually come through and it will offset the fact that you sent an email and you got a direct reply back. So it's a 1-to-1 ratio that's managed for you. So when you actually send out emails for the live campaign, your deliverability for your email mailboxes, provided you're not sending 300 to 400 a day, you're actually good to go. But if you're doing that with a consistent push out, that is not good. So do not, all of this can be sounding like very hairy-fairy and like wizardry, but it's a lot of it's just normal stepping back a bit and just getting a sense of the market, like what is the core intent that we're sending emails out for. So that's when people say, hey, I've verified my leads, my mailboxes, my mails are bouncing all of a sudden, or my reply rate is slowed down, my spam rate is high, I'm not listed on blacklist. You need to realize that if you're sending out emails, hairy fairy, yes, I did say hairy fairy. If you are sending out thousands of emails, right? And you're just getting 10 or 15 replies. You're talking about Gmail and Outlook, where we've had office hours with people claiming, like with their lives note on saying that the IP from which you sign up to your Gmail account has an impact. There's fingerprinting, there's credit cards that are being tracked, there's phone numbers being tracked. So you can very obviously assume that if you're sending an email, you're sending hundreds of emails or thousands of emails from a single username, and you're getting 5 replies off 1,000 emails. Yeah, Gmail is going to assume that you're a flaggable mailbox. I mean, when we build our own SMTP, that's one of the first things we will do ourselves is if you're sending out millions of emails and you're getting 5 or 6 replies, my friend, you are a spammer, right? You need to adjust your copy and content. And by nature note, I will also start limiting your access to deliverability infrastructure because you're not doing well. So it's not just that you need to ensure that your spam score is good or your IP score is good or your bounce rate is good. You also need to ensure that you're actually getting good replies. And by nature note, that's why I always recommend cycling your mailboxes after a few months, especially if you've seen like a streak of low replies. Cool. Now, a warm up, possible to add warm up keys to warm copy. Yeah, Nicholas, great question. It was just that we released that as a quick one because we want a lot of people to have access to it. So it's actually a constant key that we have. So I don't know if you've seen it, but it's a Carol Nicholas. It's like a two-worded name. If you hover over the eye icon, we actually tell you what that is. So I don't have it right now. We just click on the start snap test. Oh, blah. So if you see of this, you'll see Carol-Jones. That's the keyword that is used in every single copy reply that we get. So you can use that as an indicator for it to be a Smartlead Smart Delivery campaign copy warm up. And you can then use that as a way to filter that off your UI so then you don't get that to be too noisy on your user interface. Sweet. Is there anything else I want to quickly show you all? No, that's about it. Sweet. Anything else that was pushed out? Oh, can we send SD using inboxes with low limits of 2? For instance, Hypertide or Scale Mail. How do you handle those cases? Yeah, I think Hypertide and Scale Mail in general have recommended not to go ahead and do placement tests or even warm-ups, to be honest with you. No, they have recommended doing warm-ups but very low volume. Look, I'm unaware of the intricacies of how Hypertide and Scale Mail operate, but by nature and effect, my understanding is there's sort of an Azure infrastructure. They're not necessarily fully Microsoft itself, but they're Azure-based Microsoft infrastructure, hence why the volume to be low, but spread across hundreds of mailboxes across several hundred domains. So by nature note, you're actually probably warming up one or two usernames or servers, but those are spread across an Azure infrastructure of invisible layered mailboxes. Now, don't take my word for it because, like I said, I'm not fully aware of how it's been done. I don't want to discredit the impact and value they provide because people do see a lot of success with Hypertide and Scale Mail. But they are Azure service-based emails. They are Microsoft, but they're not like an actual. You can sign into the Microsoft account, interface. They follow a shared inbox infrastructure process, which is a bit different to the normal structure. And since it's a shared mailbox infrastructure, shared means that it's shared across 10 or 20 or like they're pocketed into like a 50 or 60 mailboxes. So the daily count, the warm account, everything else blends into all of them together. So the volume is 2 per mailbox, but since it's quote unquote shared, it's shared across maybe 50 or 100, it's actually 400 emails, right? Anyway, that's I'm gonna call out, I'm not fully aware of it, but the assumption is if it is any of those, then that volume would make tentative sense. All right, everyone. Well, all I can say to you all is thank you for your support. Look forward to the smart server infrastructure. My suggestion over here for you, and do not take this as me hyping it up because anyone who knows me know I do not like doing the hard selling stuff. If you care for your January for kickoff to be super fast and you want a dedicated server, if you want a dedicated server, get them as soon as they're out because you can use the next 2 weeks to warm the servers up. It goes through a similar process. And once they're warmed up, then they're good to go. Now, we will also be setting up pre-warmed up servers in the eventual very soon near future where we will be getting those ready and good to go for you. But until then, if you want the dedicated server and warmed up server infrastructure ready for you and sorted out by January, you want to get that off rolling ASAP, and you'll be good. Yeah, it will be available for every single plan across the platform. It's not restrictive any format at all. So anyway, thank you all. I will see you in the new year. I hope to see all of you in the year. Have a beautiful Christmas if you're celebrating it. Have a beautiful Hanukkah if you're celebrating it. Have a beautiful anything in your culture and religion if you're celebrating it. And have a fantastic new year. Stay safe. Do not drink and drive. Then do not do the other thing and fly as well. Be happy, healthy, be with your family, friends. Enjoy the holidays and keep sending emails. By the way, people are seeing fabulous replies. So if you've stopped, probably shouldn't. And should start sending more because a lot of people are sending mails and they're actually getting a ton of good responses, especially in the finance sector, because those people clearly don't sleep. Thank you. Take care. Good night and stay safe. Bye all.